Russia, France, Germany, and Ukraine announced on Sunday a new round of peace talks following a spike in recent violence between the Ukrainian army and separatist forces. The talks will begin Wednesday and follow a round of telephone talks on Sunday. Ukrainian President Poroshenko said he hopes the talks will lead to a swift and unconditional two-sided ceasefire. The Russian foreign minister said he expected important decisions to be made at the Minsk talks. The U.S. is not involved in the talks, but U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry denied Sunday there is any division between Europe and the United States on resolving the crisis. Meanwhile, U.S. Senator John McCain has called for arms to be sent to Ukraine to back government forces against those wanting greater autonomy. His remarks on Sunday follow earlier backing for arms from Ashton Carter, Obama's choice to become the next U.S. Defense Secretary. Germany's rejection of supplying weapons to Ukraine has underscored the difference in approaches opening up between Europe and the U.S. over the Ukraine crisis.
Asserting that there is no military solution, which is a truism, should not lead us to believe that there is no military dimension to the problem, or that hard power can play no role in a favorable solution.
Left-wing Greek Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras will lay out his government's anti-austerity policies in a speech later on Sunday. He is expected to firmly reject further austerity being forced on his country by other Eurozone countries. In what will be his first major speech to Parliament since his election 2 weeks ago, Tsipras is expected to say that Greece will seek to renegotiate its debt deal with creditors and wants a bridging agreement to give the country some breathing space until a new pact is sealed. The current bailout expires on February 28th. He's expected also to repeat pledges for a rise in the minimum wage and free electricity for poorer Greeks. Tsipras will meet EU leaders at a summit in Brussels on Thursday.
Today in the Gaza Strip, a new Israeli violation of the agreed Palestinian-Israeli truce happened after the Palestinian Farmers Committee reported that the Israeli forces fired and shelled at Palestinian farmers who are inside their fields in eastern Khan Yunis and Khuza'a district. No injuries were reported. However, the farmers were forced to flee their fields. At the same time, today, trucks loaded of building materials entered the Gaza Strip through the Israeli-Gazan border Karm Abu Salim, and these building materials will not be used for rebuilding the Gaza Strip. They will be used for private sector projects, such as projects for the Qatari government.
An independent forensic team cast further doubts Saturday over the official investigation into the disappearance of 43 Mexican students last year. The government claims the Ayotzinapa students were burned in a garbage dump, a claim disputed by the families, which are calling for the investigation to continue. The independent forensic team also said the investigation of the Mexican Attorney General contains numerous irregularities. The Non-Aligned Movement, representing 120 countries, has issued a statement rejecting the latest round of U.S. sanctions against Venezuela. The movement considers the sanctions a violation of Venezuela's sovereignty and right to self-determination, and urged the United States to stop applying coercive measures against the oil-rich South American nation. The U.S. has justified various rounds of sanctions by claiming human rights abuses occurred in Venezuela during a wave of violence that left 43 dead in 2014. But the Venezuelan government has pointed out that sanctions are politically motivated and part of undermining the elected Maduro government, given that the overwhelming majority of the 43 fatalities were due to right-wing extremist violence. Following the recent death in suspicious circumstances of attorney Alberto Nisman, Argentine Presidency Secretary Anabel Fernandez has claimed that Nisman was taking orders from the former head of intelligence, Antonio Stiuso. Stiuso is considered one of the main suspects in Nisman's death. Secretary Fernandez said a report found at Nisman's house was filled with false claims that he believes were part of the efforts by Stiuso to smear President Cristina Fernandez after she removed him from his post.
Know that every border you cross, every purchase you make, every call you dial, every cell phone tower you pass, friend you keep, site you visit, and subject line you type is in the hands of a system whose reach is unlimited, but whose safeguards are not. In the end, if you publish the source material, I will likely be immediately implicated.
Okay, I work for...
Sorry, I don't know your name.
Oh, sorry. My name is Edward Snowden. I go by Ed. Edward Joseph Snowden's the full name.
Laura Poitras won Best Documentary Director for Citizen4 at the Directors Guild Awards on Saturday. The film examines the historic leaking of documents by former U.S. government security contractor Edward Snowden that exposed the scale of Western nations spying on email and phone calls. In her acceptance speech, Poitras thanked Snowden. The Directors Guild of America Awards are seen as a barometer for Oscar winners.
Facts that have marked the course of history. Productions designed in the English language and made for the English-speaking world. This is Documentary. Watch it on telesur.net/English. Telesur, wherever the news, you'll be there.